about singing Christmas songs in a spiritual community. And we are now officially in the Christmas season. If you look around, you can see how we are. So the question I want to talk to you about today, the question I want to pose to you is, are you living your life as an invitation or as an imposition? And when things come at you, do you open up and say, wow, I wonder what I can learn from this? Or do you hold your hands up and go, oh no, here we go again. And you might recognize some of the imposition words. Really? Again? And again? Why does this keep happening to me? That's looking at life from a place of imposition. Wow, I wonder what good is going to come out of this. I wonder how things are going to unfold. There's an invitation. And even when things don't seem so, wonderful, when we start to ask those questions, I wonder what good is going to come out of this. Eventually, we will see the answer to this. We live in a universe that is for us. But sometimes, given the way life unfolds, it's easy to believe that things are happening to us. And yet, life is for us. And when we're open to that invitation of life, we're in the freedom to choose. So something happens, and I can take a deep breath and wonder. Go into wonder. I wonder what's going to come from this. I wonder what good is going to come from this. I wonder how I'm going to open to something new in my life based on this. I wonder what's going to happen. Wonder's a fun thing. As kids, we had it all the time. Did you guys ever open up your presents to see what they were there? Yeah. Did you ever wonder, wow, what's in that really big box? Or what's in that really tiny box? It's fun to wonder, and yet we need to start to do it more often. Not just do it at Christmas, but really engage in that process, that invitation to life. Most of the time when we're not in wonder and we see life as an imposition, it's very easy to think that things are happening to us. But usually, when things are happening that feel like an imposition, we have slid into an automatic, usually unconscious way of being, some pattern that's showing up for us that we have learned. Because most of our learning is, or most of what we see the world and how we see the world is through our learning. Sadness, anger, worry, fear, all of those are conditioned responses. When we're in the experience of spirit, when we're engaging with that time in meditation, when we're truly there, worry begins to fall away. Have you had that experience? It might only be for a moment, but in that moment, we can feel the freedom of expansion. In that moment, we can feel that universal oneness with each other. Each week we affirm, I'm in the right place at the right time, right now. So when we affirm it, we're being called to live it. So when something happens, really honoring right time, right place. I don't know about for you, but sometimes it's difficult for me. Oh, I'm really in the right place right now? This is the right place? It's a little scary for me. And then when I can come home to seeing the invitation to notice what's going to happen next, I can take a breath. Some of you may have heard of Byron Katie. She does some amazing work. So she tells a story about this woman and her partner have gone grocery shopping. And they're shopping, they're moving down the cereal aisle with their carts. And the woman takes out a canister of oatmeal and puts it in her cart. And her partner says to her, why are you buying oatmeal? We have oatmeal in the cabinet. And the first thing that emerges for her is, why are you criticizing me? Why are you criticizing me? I'm buying oatmeal. What's happening is, here's somebody who's asking a question, and some old pattern has simply come up. Why are you criticizing me? So what happens is that Byron Katie's working with her. Byron Katie says one of her first questions is always, is it true? So the woman says, my partner criticizes me. And Byron Katie asks this woman, is it true? And when Byron Katie asks you the question of is it true, the answer is either yes or no. So often what we do is yes or no, and then go on. Let me tell you 6 other things, and let me tell you all the reasons, and let me collect all the evidence and give you all the reasons why, yes, you are criticizing me. So the answer is yes or no. And when Byron Katie reflected the question back, she asked, was he criticizing you? And she asked the woman to take a breath and to notice. And the woman said, no. So often people will say something to us, and it's not what they say, it's how we hear it. Yeah. So the woman heard the criticism. The other fact that, or question that Byron Katie often does, she calls it turn it around. I know it as a turnaround. So Byron Katie says, okay, take that statement, he is criticizing me, and turn it around. I am criticizing me. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't take me but 2 or 3 seconds to know how I am criticizing myself. Oh man, I did it here, and I did it here, and I did it here. So when we start to recognize that what we see out there is actually a reflection of what's in here. Psychologically, we would call that projection. But spiritually, I think about it as reflection. Oh, I'm garnering criticism. I must be criticizing myself. What a fabulous invitation, or you could see it as an imposition. But what a fabulous invitation to say, wow, where did I do that in the last hour or two? Well, I will find it. And then the beauty of finding it is that the gift of recognizing that I'm criticizing myself, in that moment I can choose to catch that drift of criticism and make the shift into knowing that I'm valuable. I can turn around and say, wow, look who I am. Look what I've done. Look at these skills that I have. Now, over the course of the past few weeks, actually for the month of November, we've engaged as a community, if you chose to engage in it, in self-appreciation. So we did a month of self-appreciation. And here's what started to show up for me. Mindy and I would do them together sometimes, and we'd do them separately at times, and we would always, before the end of the day, come back and share what we appreciated about ourselves. And what I started to find is this divine paradox. I'd be out in the world and somebody would criticize me. And within an hour or two, I'd be out in the world and somebody would appreciate me. And usually they were exactly the same. Here's the criticism, here's the appreciation. And as it happened over and over and over, I began to think, wow, I'm being invited, the invitation, I'm being invited by the universe to choose. What am I going to pay attention to? I'm immersing myself, I'm soaking myself in appreciation. And then the universe is saying, hey Nickie, what are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the criticism, or are you going to listen to the appreciation? And it gave me a wonderful opportunity to start practicing. And when somebody said something that I heard as critical, is it true? And where do I criticize myself, or where have I criticized myself in the last hour or 2 hours? And every single time I found it. The beautiful thing is, it works not only with criticism, it works with appreciation. When I appreciate somebody, I appreciate you, I can turn it around. I appreciate me. It's beautiful how that can work. In the Bible, and usually we don't talk about the Easter story at Christmas, but I want to bring this up because it's so fitting. In the Bible, at the Last Supper, Jesus knew somebody was going to betray him, and he said so. He spoke what was true for him. And Judas was the one, and he left. And he was so upset by his own action that he went to the high priest and he gave the 30 pieces of silver back. And the high priest wanted nothing to do with that. They called it blood money. But in the process, Pontius Pilate had ordered the Roman soldiers to go and to collect Jesus and bring Jesus before him as sort of a trial. And so the Roman soldiers brought Jesus before the governor, Pontius Pilate. And Pontius Pilate said to Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Question. And Jesus, we don't know how long he thought, if he did or not, but he said, "If you think so, if you say so." Well, that opened up a barrage of criticism from the high priest. So can you imagine being in sort of what I think of as a waterfall of criticism? All of a sudden, not only is one person saying it, but every person in the room has multiple criticisms for you. That's what was happening with Jesus. Multiple criticisms from every person in the room. And what did Jesus do? And I think this models for us how we can be. Jesus stood quietly. He never said a word. Person after person after person after person offering criticism for what he had been doing. And he never said a word. My thinking on this is he didn't need to say a word because he knew who he was. He was one with the Father, Abba, one with God, whatever terminology that you want to use. He often said, "The Father and I are one," or it actually translates as, "Papa and I are one." When we know who we are and somebody says something that could be an imposition, it could be a criticism, if we know the truth of ourselves and we're living the truth of ourselves, we can be exactly like Jesus. And take a breath and let it pass. I know for me, when I'm believing it's when I get hooked in. If I'm worried about not being good enough, that's when I get hooked in. And that's also when I give it. When I'm worried about not being good enough, that's when it's really easy to say something in that tone of voice. You all know that tone of voice. And the people that are closest to us know exactly how to use that tone of voice to push our buttons. But when I'm willing to take a breath and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm just in a mood. Please don't listen to anything I say. I'm in a mood." No, just tell me, "Be quiet, Nickie." Or I can tell myself, "Be quiet, Nickie. This is the time to keep my mouth shut. This is a time to keep my mouth shut. This is a time to just take a breath and not say anything so that my words are not destructive." Jesus modeled for us what to do. Now there's a yogi, his name is Yogi Bhajan. He says, if you are willing to look at another person's behavior toward you as a reflection of their relationship with themselves, rather than a statement about your value as a person, you will, over a period of time, cease to react at all. It may take some time, but when we're willing to say, and this is another divine paradox, we're one and yet we're unique, individualized expressions of God. So that's them and this is me. And somebody says something to me, I can take it as that invitation or I can take it as that imposition. As an invitation, I can think, wow, what's going on inside of me that maybe I'm being invited to look at? What's going on inside of me that I'm being invited to look at? Now, we can look at the turnaround of this too. If I am willing to look at my own behavior toward another person as a reflection of my relationship with myself, rather than a statement of value about that other person, then I can cease to react at all. So if I get snippy, it's about me. If I'm in a mood, it's about me. If I'm angry or upset, it's about me. And so when I'm willing to go, wow, what's going on? What from my past have I drawn forward? Then I can look at what's going on for me. And then I can make that shift. And as I've been practicing this, and spiritual practice is a really good way to do this. as I've spent time in meditation, as I've spent time in prayer, as I've spent time saying, I'm in a mood, don't listen to me today, or I'm in a mood, let me really be conscious of my own words before I speak. Then I can take the pause and take the breath and make sure that as I speak, my words come out with love. My words come out with consideration of the other, so that then I'm honoring my love for myself and my love for the other. Charles Fillmore, when I do that, I open myself to possibilities. I'm opening myself to an invitation to see my own deeply ingrained patterns. You ever had that experience where things are going along great and suddenly you're in it with somebody? You didn't mean to, it just kind of happened. Wow, I got myself into a pattern. I see the possibility of loving the unloved parts of myself. I can see myself as a powerful manifester, and this is what I think is so cool. If I can get you to criticize me, then I am incredibly powerful. And if you can get me to criticize you, you are incredibly powerful. What would happen if we used that power for manifesting something we really wanted? Unless you were kind of having a chip on your shoulder that day and looking for something, I want to have a fight. And I know some people who I experience like that sometimes. But we are powerful manifestors. We can get people to act like our moms and our dads. We can get people to act like our partners. We can get people who have no idea about our history to reflect it to us. It's fascinating. But what that tells me is how powerful we are as demonstrators or as manifestors. We get to claim responsibility for our experiences. Wow, look how powerfully I've been criticizing myself because it's reflecting back to me. Look how powerfully I've been judging myself because it's reflecting back to me. Look how powerfully I've been loving myself because it's being reflected back to me. We can live in that invitation to life being open. And then we get to see all of life as a gift. Wow, look at these wonderful people. And I invite you to look around. That you have manifested to be in your life today. Amazing, powerful people. For our invitation is to be all that God called us to be. Charles Fillmore says it this way. It is your mission to express all that you can imagine God to be. Let this be your standard of achievement. Never lower it, nor allow yourself to be belittled by the cry of sacrilege. You can attain to everything you can imagine. You can attain to everything that you can imagine. If you can imagine that it is possible to God, it is also possible to you. And if you don't like the word God, put something else in there. That's okay. If we can imagine it, we are called to be powerful expressions of the divine on this planet. And if you're interested in it, I've just rearranged the words a little bit to make it like we're speaking about us, because truly we are. Will you say with me, if you're interested in this level of manifestation and power in your life, together, I am willing to express all that I can imagine God to be. This will be my standard of achievement. I can attain everything I can imagine. If I can imagine that it is possible to God, it is also possible to me. We are the gift of every day. We are the gift of Christmas. Look around you at the gifts that you have drawn to you. And we express them differently. And we have differing opinions, but how boring would it be if we all had the same opinion? And how wonderful that we can say, wow, I'm willing to listen to you, and I had not thought about that. I'm open to learning. I'm open to seeing life as a gift. And then when I get open to seeing it as a gift, I'm willing to see the gift that I am. And then I'm willing to give that same gift to you, that seeing of the gift that you are. I'm going to ask Lisa to come, the choir to be ready. We're going to sing our way into meditation. I'll tell you, we're singing How Could Anybody Ever Tell You? I will tell you that the very first time I heard this song, I cried for a good hour. It touched something. I'm seeing you guys react. I cried for a good hour. It touched something deep inside of me because there was something in me that was longing to know that I was indeed beautiful. There was something in me that was longing to know that my love was a miracle. There was something in me that was longing to know the truth of me. And I'm wondering if that's why you're here today. There's something in you that's wanting to know how deeply loved you are. And that is the truth of you. So let's sing this together. That you heard as criticism, and come back from your own center, your own knowingness of who you are, and sing this from your divinity. Sing this to yourself. Let's just say quietly together, my loving is a miracle. Together, my loving is a miracle. For it truly is. And you were created in the image and as the likeness of God. Thus you were created in wholeness. Connected to source energy in every moment. Connected to the resource of all that you most desire in your hearts. Connected to the resource of all the love that you desire. And it will show up within and around you as you, for you are it, we are it. And as we celebrate this Christmas season, as we truly stand in the knowing of that we are the love, we can allow it to permeate, to infuse, to surround every aspect of our lives, every aspect of our bodies. So let's take that knowingness of who and what we are, love, into the sacred and holy silence. could anyone ever notice that your loving is a miracle? To whatever degree that you're expressing it. How could anyone ever miss your wholeness? It begins with us. So I invite you to say to yourself quietly, I am a gift of love. You are a gift of love. And let's begin to come back out of the time of meditation and sing this again. How could anyone ever tell you that you were anything less than beautiful? Together. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than more? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Feel the connection with your own soul. And I'm going to ask Chris to bring up the lights. Just look around. You don't have to say anything, but just look around at these amazing angel beings that are here with you, supporting you, inviting you to live your wholeness. And then let's stand together and let's say the words of the Master Teacher Jesus. The disciples had said, Master, teach us to pray. And Jesus said, don't use these exact words, but use this as a model of praying. Use this as a model of living. So together, let's affirm this model of living. Mother, Father, birther, and breath of all, Creator, space, and